Alia Salem is the Executive Director of CAIR Dallas. Alia, good to have you with us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
What's your reaction to Angela Merkel's change of tune here?
I think it's going against what a democratic society would put forth as something that is a balanced way of approaching this, especially one that puts forth a basic law that states that religious liberties and the practice of one's religion should remain uninhibited and uninfringed upon by the government. So I think she's going against her own government and her own constitution.
What did you think about what she just said there when she talked about the openness of the society in Germany? And she's been under an enormous amount of pressure. They opened the door to what they understood was going to be 300,000 refugees. They've got close to 1 million, I think close to 900,000 at least at this point. She's under a lot of political pressure, and people feel that some of these refugees have made them less safe. So she said, we're an open community, and communication is something that we value, and having an open face is part of that in Germany, part of that in the Western world. So isn't it incumbent upon people who in some cases choose to wear burqas, to accept the fact that they now are living in a society, they've chosen to move to a place that values open communication, and part of that is showing your face?
This really isn't about that, though. This is about scoring political points on the right. It's about taking a stance that will appease a certain part of the voting population, a certain part of the government. And the timing is not, a coincidence, her announcing her run for a fourth term. So that's really what this is about. This isn't about open communication or a German way of life.
She's clearly responding to anger and political pressure. I think you're absolutely right about that. She's watched now Renzi lose his position in Italy. David Cameron is gone. Francois Hollande is gone. We saw the pushback of what happened in his country when they wouldn't let people wear burqas on the beach last summer. France has been attacked several times by violent Islamic extremists in his country. So she is succumbing to political pressure, and you feel that the way she's doing it here is not appropriate. What do you think would be appropriate?
I think it's important for you to find other ways than going against your constitution, going against your laws that uphold religious liberties. Find other ways to bridge the gap. Legislating women's clothing is not the answer for her to keep her place in her office.
All right. Alia Salem, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Now here with more, Brigitte Gabriel, founder and CEO of Act for America. Welcome. Good to have you with us tonight, Brigitte.
Thank you.
Talk to me. What do you think about what you just heard?
Well, Angela Merkel realizes she has a problem, and she needs to fix this problem if she wants to be reelected. She also is recognizing that the whole multiculturalism thing does not work. Actually, she said more in her speech than just banning the burqa. She said we need to preserve our culture. We do not want tribal practices or tribal culture coming. We do not want Sharia law. We do not want people who are coming with a different set of values. It has become very clear in Western nations, and especially in Europe, because of the large influx of Islamic population into Europe, that the Muslims who are immigrating are not assimilating. The burqa is basically a sign not just of clothing, but also a sign of radicalism in a community. The more you see more burqas on the streets, the more you realize that the community is infested with terrorism, and it's the beginning signs of radicalism, and that's what they are trying to combat.
Well, you heard what the last guest just said. She said it's freedom of religion, and that any democracy should respect freedom of religious liberty.
Well, this has nothing to do with freedom of religion. Muslims are welcome to practice their religion in any Western nation. They can pray, they can build a mosque, they can worship whatever God they want. Actually, they have more freedoms than any Westerners have, people like you and me, in any Muslim country. But we are trying to find a balance where Muslims can come to our Western nations and basically assimilate and have an identity. Women are equal in our societies to men. A burqa renders a woman basically practically non-existent. She is invisible. It's like trying to hide her, render her non-existent, and this is not what we have in the West. Women have equal rights. We do not want Sharia law imposed on women in the West. As Western women, they have the same rights as American women, as Britain women, as Australian women, and that's what the West is trying to strike, that balance, and that's what Angela Merkel is referring to, is trying to find the middle ground where Muslim women can come to the country. They can wear a hijab as long as they show their face. We have to be able to look at a driver's license and see a person's face to identify, to make sure that they are the correct owner of the car, that they are the correct person who they say they are. Plus, not to mention the terrorism. When you have a burqa, you can wear a suicide bomber, you can be a man, and we couldn't tell the difference because you have a cover.
All right, Brigitte Gabriel, thank you very much. Good to see you again.
Thank you.